So Joe Lombardi, who has ties with a lot of teams, and he worked for the Patriots for a long time. He said on the McAfee show something about Leslie Frazier, about how Leslie Frazier departure from Buffalo was due to Sean McDermott taking over play calling late in the season, and then that defensive collapse at the end of the year, and that Leslie Frazier wanted his job. So basically, my question is, what is the ceiling or the floor for Buffalo this year in Sean
play calling
McDermott?
For what? Offense or defense?
Defense. And if Buffalo once again falls flat and doesn't reach the Super Bowl, are they looking for a new head coach?
Yeah, I think at this point it could be getting to that because now the team's starting to you feel kind of them getting a little antsy. So I think at this point teams start to look at kind of basically who's the fall guy for the whole situation, so we can retain as much trust with the people that we want to be here for the next installment of the Buffalo Bills. Right. So I think that definitely you've been actually saying this for a long time. I like Sean McDermott. I like a lot about Buffalo, and you're not like
don't blow up the culture.
You're not obligated to keep him on staff indefinitely, but I do think there's a little bit of like amnesia on what Buffalo was before for a long fucking time. So it's like they've come a long way with Sean McDermott. That's the first coach that stepped in there and actually has been able to get a hold of that franchise, create a culture or whatever, or whatever, you know what I mean? Accentuate the culture that was already there because they already had like Bills Mafia and shit. But
so the thing with Sean McDermott though is he's a defensive coach.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
I mean, so what he did was fine.
Elite quarterbacks and defensive head coaches, and they tend to butt heads.
Just
the
philosophy.
Hold on, so you said Josh Allen? I thought it was him and the coach that were fighting.
There's been a report.
I think it was just Stephon Diggs. I mean, he gets
the
ball.
It's the players or is it him and the coach?
Yeah, I thought it was Stephon and Josh Allen.
So Stephon.
So what y'all talk? So who's Leslie Frazier?
Leslie Frazier.
He was a defensive coordinator.
Okay, so we're talking about that though. We're not talking about.
But
we're talking about all.
But he's
we are talking about the Bills.
Yeah, else with
Bills. Are they going to keep Sean McDermott after this year? Now he's kind of like expanding on what we're talking about.
The answer's no.
Okay, we'll try to follow.
I mean, I didn't get to answer.
It's like we're still talking about, brother.
I don't know if he gets fired.
No, he needs to go. He'll be the D coach like he wants to.
Yeah.
Well, so you call it
it'd have to be really bad for him to get fired
or get paid really well.
I think Leslie Frazier started with the Bucks under Tony Dungy.
Yeah,
he definitely was there. I don't know if that's where he started, but yeah.
So
he might start.
So Ben's obviously a genius.
Here's my question on that with the philosophy. So for someone like Josh Allen, would you rather, because he's already established, now a vet, right? He should know the game. Would you rather bring in a defensive-minded coach to kind of mind the other side of the ball, let him kind of like have his OC and
stabilize it, yeah,
or bring in the offensive-minded coach who can expand the system? Because you look at LA, right? The Chargers,
yeah,
they've had Anthony Lynn, they've had now they have Staley, Brandon Staley,
the offensive coach,
right? And that's what I'm saying. So they've had two offensive coaches, and the numbers are great, but then the defensive side of the ball falters.
Well, but let's look at even the Bills. So when they had, and I actually I defend Josh Allen all the time. I don't think he's fallen off very much. But when you strike gold with, like, for example, Brian Daboll, you see everybody was happy at that time. They were, what was that? My bad.
Bingo.
Okay, yeah. So they were. Everybody was happy at that time. The offense was buzzing. They were competing with the fucking Chiefs, and at that time on sports television, the debate was being had: who's a better quarterback, Josh Allen and Mahomes? And I always fell on the other side of Mahomes, but I haven't fallen so far back that I think Allen doesn't belong in that kind of like conversation of one of the best quarterbacks that's playing today. In Sean McDermott, this is where I see your point and where I think it is a little bit of a gamble, because whenever those guys get a job because you perform and you have the great team, so Brian Daboll, he coaches his ass off. He's somewhere else now. Now you have to, hopefully, because the genius on the offensive side isn't Sean McDermott and it isn't like Peyton Manning. So it's Josh Allen. He needs a strong coaching staff. But then again, like I said, I don't even want to say that because I don't want to shit on what he did this year. He still threw like 35 touchdowns this year. He threw, I think, like 14 picks, threw about 5,000.
But he was clearly different without
yards.
Brian Daboll, right?
Well, yeah, I agree, but I still think he was very dynamic.
But
I
this
agree,
year they had three different ex-quarterbacks as offensive coaches.
Interesting. I actually didn't know
So
that.
I have a theory, like, especially because the Giants just gave Daniel Jones.
They had a brotherhood?
Mike
wild.
Shula, Dorsey,
I
and
just-
then I forget the other one.
Okay, that's why.
I
Well,
think-
here, Harold was about to say something, brother. So I'll make sure you get it.
So they just gave Daniel Jones the bag. So I would try to time firing McDermott with the same time Dayball gets fired in New York. And then hire Dayball as the head coach.
I like that
fuck
thought.
that shouldn't happen.
Damn, that's
I think-
conniving.
I do think they
He's
have
gonna get fired in New York. He can't do anything with Daniel Jones. They just gave him a bag.
I agree.
I don't think the problem is the coach being offensive or defense. I think you need a good coach. Some coaches aren't meant to be head coaches, and he just, to me, is not meant to do both. He's meant to do one side,
I disagree.
and that's just it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, his defense falters every time. If he's a defensive coach, his defense plays like dog shit a lot. So if we're being honest, and it's not like he has bad players. He had great players. He just lost a linebacker, which is going to hurt. You know, I mean,
They had
he's
a top
lost
10 defense last year.
He lost some pieces. You know what I'm saying? But when it matters, they suck though.
But-
and that's
Yeah,
what
but
it
Again,
comes down to.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say kind of off both of your point and your point that they hadn't been so good in so long. Well, the Chargers. I'm talking about the Chargers, but put it in reference of the Bills. The Bills hadn't been so good in so long, just like the Chargers when they lost. I think they fired Marty Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
And they were nothing after that until just recently.
North Turner. And yeah.
And that's been what, 7-8 years? I don't even know how many years. 10 years or so.
It's been a while.
then-
You need a great coach.
Huh?
You need
But that's
a
what
great
I'm
coach.
saying. Because you kind of went down there, but you ain't go deep enough.
But that
Well,
that's
no,
that
but
hurts
it's
Josh
just-
Allen.
just
That
one of
hurts
them
Josh
things,
Allen.
so-
Not-
But
when
see,
you're a
not that-
winner,
It hurts Josh Allen, not that he has like a defensive coach over an offensive one. I mean, it would favor him, yes, if he had an offensive minded coach there in his ear like Andy Reid. You know, yeah, of course. But it's not necessarily. It doesn't hurt him.
So-
the reason why he needs a great coach is he needs a coach that's going to sit there and is going to contain his bad habits.
Okay, so
Right.
that was gonna be my question: is do you put any blame on their end of the year faults on Josh Allen and his inconsistency, especially on third, fourth downs, and then inside the goal red zone?
I would like it for Josh Allen in some games not to have to be the focal point for the win, and I saw that a lot.
And
I saw it in games where he shouldn't have had to even do what he did, playing with a hurt elbow. Matter of fact,
That's what I was about to
That's
say.
Josh Allen.
That he was hurt.
Though.
He
We're
was hurt.
milking that fucking elbow.
I really don't.
aren't
I feel
we?
like this is something that really, when
We're
we're
milking that
critiquing
shit.
him, doesn't get
Probably
included
not.
in the critique. to
It's
be
just like
honest.
Justin Herbert last year
In my
played with
opinion.
broken ribs.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
But we
So
didn't
that-
give that to Tua when he played with broken ribs.
He didn't play all season.
I'll give it to anybody
How
if they
long
play
did-
with.
he
if
didn't
they
play-
play
Herbert
injury.
broke
He
his
didn't-
ribs week one.
I think Tua thing is
How
he's just
fucking
been
long?
hurt the whole time. That's been the whole Tua thing. It's not the ribs. It's just
The guy
you
broke
need
his-
to be on the
and
field.
he didn't play with
The
it. though.
guy broke his
did
hip,
play,
and then people
yeah.
forgot that he even broke his hip.
Okay.
Yeah.
goddamn,
I mean,
they drafted
did-
him with the broken.
I'm
rib,
just
bro.
saying.
He did play.
How long does-
No, he played with I think he played with like a rib injury.
Yeah,
literally.
he played with cartilage tear in his
Okay,
ribs. It's
yeah.
the same
Okay,
thing
but my-
Herbert
No,
had.
but
Herbert
I
played
give
all
him
year
credit
with
for that.
it.
But that's my
Yeah.
point. How long does that injury? It's cartilage tear.
So back to Josh
It's a broken
Allen.
rib, brother.
So-
He's
Yeah,
getting
but-
hit still.
But if you don't stop playing, then you don't give it the chance to heal properly.
he's
Sure.
getting hit all the
Man,
time.
Listen,
That's
man,
why
I'm not
LeBron
listening to
James
that.
only plays 60
People get
games a
hurt
year.
all the fucking
So he can
time.
hit
So the
them
point
too.
is,
though.
Josh Allen played hurt, and the thing is, he shouldn't have to be in those positions a lot because with the defense that he had,
But that's what
they
makes
shouldn't
him
have-
great and so inconsistent at the same time. He feels like he has to be Superman on every play.
Well,
Which
because he does.
needs to take that out of his
That's-
game.
Because he
that's
does.
his-
But he
that's
doesn't
Josh
have
Allen.
to.
I don't
That-
think
that's-
Do it more.
Yes, he does.
he can. I think that is Josh Allen
Right.
at his core.
And
Dayball
right.
sort
No,
of
it's not
covered
his
it up and
Thank you.
made it.
I don't think it's
Y'all are
coaching at
forgetting
all.
the
I don't think they
playoff
want him
game.
to be the
You're
fucking guy that's
forgetting
running
the-
the ball 12 times a game.
You're forgetting the playoff game where him and Patrick Mahomes literally
Under
threw
Dayball,
four
when
fucking
Dayball was
touchdowns, bro,
Dayball
back
was
to
in
back.
his fucking ear,
Bro.
making the game easy for him. Dayball
See,
left.
you're
I'm
worried
not-
about the defensive coordinator. What I'm worried about is who the fuck was calling the offensive plays.
And
for
also,
Josh
when he
Allen.
left, to be clear,
Last
they
year
didn't
it
go
was
as far in
different.
the playoffs, but his production didn't fall. I thought it would fall more. That's why I support him.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that having the Ken Dorsey, because Ken Dorsey showed he's a good offense coordinator.
When what you said was interesting.
And
having
then,
three
and,
different.
and then they had Mike Shula.
He is from the Hurricanes.
And they had Mike Shula in there, who, I mean, Mike Shula's been a head coach and he's been an offense coordinator. And he's a national championship winning quarterback. The guy knows the position. And I got to remember the third name. I can't remember the third name. But they had three. That's a big deal in that quarterback room. And the thing is, I again, Josh Allen is one of the best talents to ever play the position. There's no doubt about it. I think that it's kind of Sean McDermott, I think would benefit more from a efficient quarterback that would allow his defense to stay within the game. Because again, a lot of times you scoring proficiently hurts your defense.
No.
It does hurt the defense because it keeps them on the field.
Needs to be able to stop opposing offenses, and that biggest problem with that defense is it cannot do that. They do not get to the pass rusher.
If you score too fast,
what if that offense
is staying on the field?
Exactly.
That was a problem with Kansas City one year.
But what if that offense is consistently playing from 21 points?
So you're telling me,
and they're passing the whole time.
Do you know how hard it is to score in the NFL?
I'm not saying not to score.
You tell them when to score.
When you go down there and score,
you score when you can fucking score. You don't choose when to score. You score when you can score.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make no sense. And here's the thing.
I mean, it does make sense, though. It does make sense. Because if you're always 3 and out, it's the same thing.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
Championship teams, their defense can get a 3 and out when they need to. You need to have a player
the Super Bowl was
that can
38
get
to 35.
to the fucking quarterback.
Excellent fucking
Chris Jones.